Hey, welcome to Chefnpodcast. Happy New Year. If you're joining us, it is the new year. 22 is now here. 21 is in the books. Good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter because it's now gone. And it's kind of like you woke up from a year and a half nap after 20 happened. And now you're like, wow, it's 22 already. But that's it. We are in the new year, and that means a new you. With new year comes all these fantastic resolutions of I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to, not do this, that, or the other, but it's always I'm going to be fit. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And we at Chefnpodcast are no different. And so I thought it'd be a great time to have somebody who is an expert at that. I'm an expert at using butter and fats and Crisco and everything else, but that does not lend to a healthy body. So we're going to talk to Randall Woods. He's here with us today. He is the owner of Pinnacle Performance. He is a CrossFit coach. He is my personal mobility coach. Everybody can be jealous of that. Randall was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. He's a proud Ohio State Buckeye. We will not hold that against him here in Arkansas. And there he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Sports Nutrition. Then he went on to continue his education and did a Master's of Science in Human Performance, Strength and Conditioning from Liberty University in 2020. Before moving to Conway in 2016, he was a personal trainer where he specialized in corrective exercise and helped people everywhere, from college athletes to the everyday working individual like myself, reach their fitness goals. Randall officially started doing CrossFit in 2018, and he has his L1 and L2 certificates in CrossFit. And if Randall's not training in the gym or working with individuals, he's spending time with his wife and awesome kiddos. So once again, he is the owner of Pinnacle Performance, and I want to say a big thank you and welcome to Coach Randall Woods. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, this is great. I love having the chefs on here, but then once again, what better time to talk about health, wellness, fitness on, 22, beginning of it and the beginning of the new year, because that's what everybody's doing. You're going to see all the amateurs in the gym in the next 6 weeks before Valentine's Day hits, and then it's pretty much over with. Yep, you see that in your career a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you see all the people in there. So we're going to talk to Randall really about his take on health and wellness and exercise and diet and food and everything like that. So Randall, we have some questions here. These are on the fly questions, just quick, top of your head. We have one or the other. You tell me what you pick, and then we're going to circle back and dive into why you chose those answers. Are you ready?
I guess so.
All right. 10-minute timer. No, I'm just kidding. So, would you pick Usain Bolt or Bo Jackson?
Oh, Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Pie. Cardio or strength training?
Strength training.
Strength training. 3 meals a day or 6 smaller meals, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Sweet. Fad diets or calorie deficit?
Calorie deficit.
Okay. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Batman. Wow. Okay. Favorite fast food? I put Taco Bell or McDonald's, but if you have one that's better than that or worse than that, throw it out there.
Are you considering Chipotle fast food?
I mean, it's fast and it is food. So, okay. I mean, not really, because I feel like I can still eat healthy there. Taco Bell and McDonald's, I feel like the opposite end of that. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Okay. Chipotle. All right.
Chipotle.
Motivation or determination?
Determination.
Determination. Favorite protein? And it can be animal based, it can be a powder, it can be whatever.
We'll say animal based, just to be quick. I can get super technical with it, so we'll say animal based.
So animal based. All right. Fruits or vegetables?
Fruit.
Favorite Marvel character?
Wolverine.
Wow. mobility, or flexibility?
Mobility.
All right. Fantastic. I didn't really stump you on those. It was pretty easy. Okay. So just a little backstory. Randall and I talked about this athlete yesterday, and I was surprised that you went Usain Bolt over Bo Jackson. Tell me why.
With Usain Bolt being a sprinter, I mean, there's so much involved in that, even though like what his world record's like, 9 seconds or whatever. But I mean, if you've seen the quads on that guy,
yeah, I
just
mean,
run laps.
Pretty impressive too. And he seems like such a cool dude, man. You see him like fist bumping all the helpers and saying hi and giving them stuff. So what a great attitude to go along with a great athlete too. Good choice. Yeah. All right. So you went with pie. When cake or pie, you went with pie. So tell me about pie.
Favorite dessert is apple pie. I'm really just not a cake guy. Like, I just think, I don't know. I just never really been a cake guy. And even for whose birthday was it? I think it was Liam's birthday, his 5th birthday. I told him, I'm not making you a cake. I'm making you I guess it was technically kind of a cake, but it was a watermelon cake. So I like to actually cut up a watermelon and then put fruit on the top of it and look pretty awesome. But pie has just always been Dutch apple pie.
Dutch apple pie with the little crumblies, right? The little crumblies on top. That's a good one. Yeah. So if you do have cake, are you the cake or the icing?
Oh, it's totally cake. I mean, I will literally take the cake, turn it upside down so I don't eat the icing, and then eat from the bottom up, or just scrape the icing off altogether.
I'm glad I knew that after we started the podcast. I would not have been right. That's awful. That's terrible. Terrible thing. Anyway, okay. So cardio or strength training? You went strength training.
Yeah, because I mean, technically you can make strength training into cardio. You will, like, cardio really, that just works your lungs and heart. So you can have someone, I mean, sweet, they ran a half marathon. That's good and all, but can they do a push-up? Can they do burpees? Can they, do deadlift? I mean, you'll have a lot of athletes that if they are just strictly cardio based, when it comes to strength training, there's not much, but you can have a strength training athlete that can also run just because of how they're doing their strength training programming.
No, I think that's a really good point there too, because I mean, so many people, myself included, are like, man, I hate cardio. Oh, I hate, if I have to go outside and go for a 3-mile run, I'd just rather get fat. I mean, it's like, it's a hard thing for me to just wrap my mind around cardio, but you're right, because, doing CrossFit or doing strength training or doing whatever it is that involves weights and involves getting that heart rate up. I mean, you're doing a lot of different things, a lot of different movements, and it's not just going out pounding the pavement for 3 miles. Yeah. So that's awesome. Okay. Fad diets or calorie deficit? You went calorie deficit.
I would say I'm not a huge fan of either. Fad diets, but I would say calorie deficit over fad diets, because fad diets are just that, they're a fad. I mean, it's going to put your body through a roller coaster. You're going to be on it and you're like, no, I don't like it. And you're going to be on it and no, I don't like it. You're going to be on it and no, I don't like it. Whereas a calorie deficit, if you're looking at the goal of it, the goal is to essentially get that, to eat something or to eat enough of something that will allow you to reach your goals. And sometimes that easily is just calorie, like just not eating, that extra roll.
Or the icing on the cake.
Or the icing on the cake. And you have way more freedom when it comes to calorie deficit than with a fad diet, because a fad diet restricts. It says you can't eat this, you can't eat that. Whereas calorie deficit is just like, okay, I'm done eating, and then I can just leave it at that.
And to somebody like me, when you say you can't have this, I go, well, now I want it. I'm going to eat it anyway. I'm going to sneak it in the closet where nobody sees me, and I don't have to come out with Cheeto dust on my hands. All right, so Batman or Superman? You went Batman.
Yeah, Superman's overrated.
Is he?
I'll be honest. He is.
So why would you say Batman is better?
Because he has to actually put in the work. I mean, Batman had to train. He had to learn. He had to pretty much become who he was. mean, day one, like Superman had those powers. He had flight. So yes, you have to learn how to fly and do all those things, but I mean, he never really has to work for anything. I mean, does he get hurt? Oh, only if I get hit with a rock from my home planet.
I mean,
don't get me on that weakness.
I think he has to work on his emotional hurt of having to act like a human, right? Clark Kent. Okay, that's good. I figured you were going to pick Batman. All right, and so Chipotle, you said, was your favorite fast food. Now, would you consider that like dirty fast food? I shouldn't say dirty, unhealthy fast food.
That's where it goes back. It's up to you. If you look at their ingredients, I mean, their meat's grass fed. They give good vegetarian options as well for someone who doesn't want to eat meat. That means everyone their own, I guess. Mm-hmm. But when you look at their ingredients and how it's made in a good way. And then, but from there, it's like, okay, hey, don't add the extra rice, or look at getting in additional protein, or hey, you don't need that tortilla. You have the options for all of that. Whereas, I mean, you wouldn't go to Taco Bell and say, well, I want your tacos, but I don't want the tortilla. And then we getting into how it's made. That's a whole other bag of worms. But
that's a whole nother podcast right there.
Yeah, right there. Ooh. But yeah, I would say it allows for more healthier options, and then especially with the protein being grass fed.
That's a good point, man. I like that. So you're telling me that if I want to eat healthy, I can actually go to a fast food restaurant and eat healthy? Interesting.
You just have to
I hear a lot of people say they can't. I'm just saying. Now you said motivation or determination. You went with determination. Why is that?
So I would say, because motivation, you can always say like, okay, I'm going to do this. Or I'm in the middle of it. Like, oh, let me just play. Yeah. I would say the motivation is you're going to, whereas determination is you're already in it. I'm going to be determined to finish this last rep. I'm going to be determined to get this distance or whatever it might be. And I would say I've been on a huge action before. So like action happens before that motivation happens.
Yep.
Even if it's just walking into the gym, like I have to get up and I have to start moving before I get the motivation to stay in the gym, to stay consistent. So you have to be determined first. You have to take that action before that motivation is even going to come.
Good point. I like it. All right. Favorite protein? You said animal based. I was really looking for like one pinpoint, one little favorite protein. If you could just have one protein the rest of your life, what would it be?
Chicken.
Chicken. Yeah. That's kind of like the go-to.
Yeah.
And now, are you a chicken thigh, chicken breast, white meat, dark meat? Thigh?
Chicken thigh.
All right. Fantastic.
I can eat a lot of chicken thighs.
I say we should come up with like a hybrid chicken that has like 4 thighs.
A chicken that's all thigh.
Yes, an all thigh chicken. We're missing the boat here, man. I think we should do it. All right, fruits or vegetables? You went with fruits.
Yeah. I mean, one, they can get technical if you're looking at macros and micronutrients. I mean, they can be a little bit more nutrient dense, and for most people, they taste better. I mean, you can season vegetables and make them kind of taste good, but you can just grab an apple, grab an orange, and you don't have to season it or anything, and it just tastes awesome.
All right, I like it. Favorite Marvel character? You went Wolverine. I didn't see that coming at all. Tell me about Wolverine.
So Wolverine, I mean, he has a healing factor. That alone allows him to do way more than people think. Like, they want to I want super strength. Well, a healing factor allows you to actually have super strength, because your strength breaks down because your muscles break down. Well, if your muscles don't break down, you can keep lifting. If you want to run faster, so like, oh, I want super speed. Like, well, if your speed breaks down because your muscles break down. If your muscles don't break down, they're constantly healing themselves, you can run faster. So, I I mean, just the healing factor in itself, you can constantly keep pushing yourself more and more and more, become stronger and stronger.
So did he get that on Amazon? Is that something I could pick up? Because I think I would really appreciate having that, especially in some of your sessions you put me through. All right. And then, so I really like this one too. And you taught me this. So mobility or flexibility, and you went with mobility. And go ahead and tell our listeners why.
So when you're looking at, so flexibility is essentially just how far your limbs can move, that range of motion. If you're looking at your arm, your elbow stops your arm from going past 180 degrees. So you might have some people that are double jointed in their elbow, so they can get their arm past a little more than 180 degrees. So that's their flexibility. If that elbow was broken, well, that elbow is flying all over the place, or that arm is flying all over the place. So that's still flexibility. It's increasing that range of motion. So whether it's your elbow, your shoulders, your hips, or whatever, range of motion is that flexibility. However, mobility is your control within that range of motion. If you don't have control, so you can be as flexible as you want, but if you don't have control, then you have really limited mobility, which will limit your ability to end up lifting more or doing more. So it's all about having control on that range of motion.
So like when I do a really deep squat, since I am so mobile at that, when I get down, should I be able to stand back up after doing that squat? Because that's how I feel sometimes. You get down and you go, wow, I went all the way down. Now I can't get up. So yes, that mobility is a big factor in just really, moving in general and just health and wellness as a whole, whether you're trying to squeeze back into a size 32 or whether you're trying to live until you're 92. I feel like the mobility piece of it is a huge piece that really we miss out on because, most people go, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lift some weights, I'm going to do some cardio, but we never think about I should sit down and stretch my hips out because my knee hurts. Nobody says that until they meet somebody like you and you say, well, your knee hurts because your hip's not flexible enough and you're compensating. You go, no, my knee hurts. It's not my hip, stupid. It's my knee. What are you talking about? And so it's interesting that people don't do that enough. So, all right, man, very cool. So I've got a quote here. This was said by a very famous individual in my house. I don't know who it was, but it was said last week. And it said, I thought the dryer was shrinking my clothes. Turns out it was the refrigerator all along. And that's exactly how I felt leading into like October of last year. So, but this is all about food, right? So we're talking Chefnpodcast here. We're going to get into some of the things that we want to talk about with you, but it's about food. So right off the bat, what is food to you and how do you view it?
Food to me, I would say, generally speaking, food is fuel. So I need to fuel my body, so I'm going to eat food. Some people might, if they become too hyper-focused on that though, then I would say they would probably lend themselves to having a bad relationship with food. And then they fall into the camp of, I can't. That is nowhere near what I mean by when I say food is fuel. I just see it as, okay, I have a goal. So if I have this goal, how am I going to get to this goal? Whether that is a performance goal, a lifestyle goal, whatever it might be, I need to fuel my body with what it needs. Okay, so that's where that food comes in. Yes, I enjoy having company over. I enjoy eating with people and eating friends, but at the end of the day, my goal is what I'm thinking about, and I need to see how am I going to fuel my body for that. So I always tell like, hey, food is fuel, and when we look at that, it's so when I look at Taco Bell, like, okay, well, Taco Bell it's food, it's fuel, it's fueling my body, but is that going to be the best fuel when it comes to performing at a competition? I'm not going to have Taco Bell the day before a competition. That is dirty fuel. Now, will I have a pizza after the competition? Honestly, maybe. It depends. But by me thinking, for me personally, by me thinking that food is fuel, I'm not going to restrict myself on what I can and can't eat. I eat what I want. And I just need to see how what's the best fuel though for my body.
So it'd be like taking the gasoline out of my mower in my garage and putting it into a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
If I was trying to make sure I'm properly fueled up in that Lamborghini with the best fuel possible to drive a high performance race car like that. Obviously, this is the body of a high performance race car. However, if I'm going to do a competition, if I'm going to do something, I agree with you that I need to have that mindset of I'm going to put good stuff in my body so this whole body will perform on XYZ day, but then also just in general. I mean, I want to put good supplements, good things in my body so my body will continue to perform over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so still on the food topic here, what is your best food memory?
Oh, best food memory. I would say, when was that? I just know. So Anna and I, my wife Anna, we went out on a date, and I even forgot what restaurant it was. And okay, two memories. We'll backtrack. When I was younger, I remember my family went on vacation, and it's the first buffet I can actually really remember this ever happened. But it was a buffet, and my dad was like, "All right, eat all this food." I just remember eating so much that I just had this laughing fit. Like I could not stop laughing because I had so much food. I mean, I was so full, and me and my brothers, we would just say one word, and then we just all just bust out laughing just because of the one word. So that's one memory. The other one was with my wife Anna. We went out, and the food was amazing. I just an explosion of flavor in my mouth. That was just so good. It was a ribeye and a blackened halibut. So nice. I had some kind of surf and turf. So it was I had a ribeye steak that just melted in my mouth. It was so good. And then the halibut was just so.
And see, that's what I love about food, and that's what I love about memories associated with it, because whether or not it was the best thing on the planet, it had to do with the circumstances, it had to do with the people around you, it had to do, of course, with the food itself. And food to me is just that. I mean, you can smell a ribeye cooking sometime. You're like, oh, you remember that time I went out with Anna? And I love that. That's cool, man. I love that you had two of them, especially one as a kid, because I feel like a lot of our food memories are based as kids, and it's awesome. All right, so coming from Ohio as a Buckeye, how does food differ from Ohio to Arkansas, where you are now?
Really the variety. I would say
Arkansas is much more variety based, I'm sure. Well, we have so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is variety, because so not only coming from Ohio, I think last time I was up there, my friends actually told me this, that Columbus, so where I'm from, is the number one place for food startups. So for restaurant startups, just the variety is ridiculous. There's so many different varieties of food, so much different culture. I remember back during when I was at Ohio State, you can just go up and down the main street, so High Street, and you have 60 different restaurants. You had Chinese food, you had Indian food, you had Mexican food, you had, obviously your regular American, American dining. Just the variety is so different. And so then moving to Arkansas, it's okay, well, what do we want to eat? If we want to go out, we have Fridays, Chili's.
We have some Mexican food too. Come on now.
Yeah, Mexican food, that's a lot of the same.
It's there's 20 Mexican restaurants here.
It's this is the same as the restaurant right across the street. And then, gyros. I'm a huge gyro person.
Really?
And I love gyros so much. And I have yet to really have a good gyro here. And that's
good. Yeah, and those are a phenomenal sandwich. I would not say that the ones I had at the Arkansas State Fair were the best gyros I've ever had. However, they were pretty darn good at the time. But yes, that's very good. So on a different topic now, jumping from best food memory, and we're not going to worst, but you hear this all the time. You hear, man, healthy food just doesn't taste good. It just doesn't taste good. I don't want to eat healthy because I want my food to taste good. So I'm asking you as a professional, and I know as a professional chef, the answer. So can healthy food taste good?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's all how you prepare it. It's all about it. Some people just think if I want to eat healthy, I can't season anything. I'm like, whoa, yeah. I mean, if that's what I had to do to eat healthy, no, it's like I'm gonna eat whatever. I'm gonna put everything I need to in it because I think people just don't know how to season their food. They make it taste bad in the light of thinking that it's going to be healthy.
I agree 100%. I mean, people say, well, the chicken thigh is a little more fatty. Like, yeah, it is, but that's okay. I'm still getting my protein in. I'm still seasoning it, salt, pepper. If I want to eat the skin, hey, guess what? I'm going to eat the skin. I mean, I would much rather have a chicken thigh with the crispy skin on there that's been seasoned up like it should be, as opposed to go and have, king size Snickers from the gas station. Just because, I mean, nothing wrong with a king size Snickers. It's going to be great, but it's not going to really benefit in the long run. It's going to benefit me right then. Like, man, this Snickers is delicious, right? But it's all about being well seasoned. And like you said, I think that is a big piece of people not understanding how to fuel their body or eat properly because they always think, well, it's healthy. I don't want that. We're not talking about, buckwheat and tofu and all these things. Now you can, I mean, you can scuba dive all the way down into that rabbit hole if you want to, and go down and, I'm switching out my sugar for rice syrup and I'm doing all this other stuff. Or you can just go to the grocery store and buy, basically the perimeter of the grocery store. You go and you have the produce aisle, you have the refrigerated section. You can go up and down the freezer if you want some frozen vegetables, something like that, and then hit up the dairy side, and then you're kind of done. But it's all those things in the middle, typically the packaged foods. And people also say to me, I'm sure you hear it all the time too, man, it's just so expensive to eat healthy. Like I would combat that too. How about you? Would you say that's a total farce?
Yeah, like, I mean, you can easily get a week's worth of food, and that's healthy for just as much as getting the processed stuff. I mean, yeah, the processed stuff. I mean, I would even argue there, because people say like, well, the processed stuff is easy. It's like, well, something that can be quick and easy isn't always the best for you. But it's like, what are you talking about? Something being quick and easy? Like I can make something in 5 minutes that is not only healthy for me, that will also fuel my body, but just as much time as it takes something in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all about perspective. And then at the end of the day, knowing, okay, well, if that's the case, well, I don't know. And so that's what people revert back to, like, well, I know how to, put in a hot pocket in the microwave, but I don't know how to cook a healthier meal and healthier option. So just knowing those healthier options are available, and then knowing what to look for, and I think that people aren't necessarily determined to find those other options, and it's like those options are available.
Have you ever seen the comedian Jim Gaffigan do his Hot Pocket skit? Oh, that's the first
I
thing I thought
remember
of. Hot Pocket. Yeah. Oh, I want instant diarrhea. Thanks. That'd be awesome. Yeah. So no, that's a great point too. And also, like, I mean, I can go in and I buy ground turkey now, and I can, if you know how to brown hamburger meat, you can brown, and even if you want to buy ground beef, that's fine. And it's just all about taking those steps. And to your point of better and quicker, if you want to say a faster option in the long run, because when I brown that pound of ground, whatever it is, and I mix it into red sauce, or I mix it into another sauce, and I make some pasta or some rice, and I'm not going to eat all that. I won't eat. I mean, even so, if I do 2 pounds, my family of 4, we won't eat it all. And guess what? Now I have leftovers that my kids will eat, that my wife will eat, that I'll eat. And so now I put in a little time for one meal, and now it's gone into another meal where I can actually have that, and I'm saving time if you want to look at it that way. So, and that's kind of that whole meal prep deal that, you can help people with, that if they have any questions about meal prep and nutrients and stuff, they can definitely reach out to you. We'll give that contact later on. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that. And so brings us to the next question here. So why does it seem so difficult for people to understand nutrition? Nutrition to me, after years of doing it, is a simple thing, but just as a professional that works with people constantly and what they talk about nutrition, why do you think it's so difficult for people to really wrap their heads around what's nutritious?
I would say it's two things. One, like I mentioned before, just knowing, like, okay, people just don't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And on top of that, going into the second, being bombarded with, almost false, not necessarily false information per se, but just misguided information. From the very bit of being told, if you want to lose weight, you have to cut carbs. It's like, well, no, that's not it. Or it's a lot of half truths. It's like, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be eating that many carbs. Maybe you should probably put in more protein, but cutting carbs isn't the thing. Because they'll say like, oh, I'm cutting carbs. See, I'm not eating, this candy bar, but I'm eating fruit. I'm eating vegetables. And it's like, well, you realize those are carbs too. And they're like, I didn't know that. It's like, okay, yeah. So, and a lot of it is the knowledge of nutrition. And then like a big thing I say is like knowing your numbers, like knowing what you actually have to, what are your goals? What are you shooting for? And is your nutrition helping you get there by knowing what you need to shoot for? A lot of people like to shoot in the dark, and then they complain about not hitting their goals. Like, well, because you never really set one. You don't know what you're shooting for. You're just guessing on all your numbers. So a lot of the knowledge of nutrition is what people are lacking. And because of that lack of knowledge, they either don't want to go to someone that knows, or they just don't want to be told that, because they feel like they have to be told, they're going to be told, you can't have this. It's like, but I love pie. And they're going to tell me I can't have pie. And if they're going to tell me I can't have my pie, then I don't want to do it. So ignorance to them is bliss. And it's like, well, no, again, that half truth. It's not that you can't have the pie. It's just, what are your goals? And is pie going to get you to that goal? If it is, then fine. But if it isn't, then what's more important to you, the pie or your goal? That's why it's like, for some days, it's like, yeah, I'm going to have my pie because I want it. It's
You didn't tell me, hey, when we started this whole journey, you didn't tell me there was a pie program. I want to sign up for the pie program. That's
how about the pie program?
I think you're right there too, because I think a lot of people get their information or their half truths from the internet, from social media. And then of course we have this crazy idea of, pardon me, what a healthy, fit person is. Does it mean that I'm going to have, like Lego Batman, have a 9-pack? No, it means that I'm going to be able to consistently wear the same size pants that I've worn since I was, X age, all the way till, I die or whatever. I mean, and so I really feel like people are not properly informed. And I loved where you were going with that, of what I actually need to be eating. Do I need to eat 3 meals a day? Do I need to eat 6? Do I need to eat 9? How much protein do I need? So that brings us to this next point of, so what are all these things we hear? What are macronutrients, micros, macros, proteins, water, all these things? So if you could just give us kind of a nutrition for dummies real quick, without giving too much information there, what is a macronutrient?
So nutrition for dummies.
That's me nutrition. I'm talking to, by the way.
So your macros are essentially your protein, carbs, and fats. Everything you eat is going to get divided up into one of those 3 categories.
Well, that's easy. I mean, that's okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's when people are like, whoa, like when I ask people like, oh, do you know what your macros are? Like, what's a macro? It's like, well, protein, carbs, or fats. So if we're saying like, oh, like I mentioned before, people say, I'm going to cut carbs. It's like, okay, well, so you're saying you're not eating any bread because you think bread's carbs, but you're eating fruit. Like, okay, well, no. Is it a fat? No. Then it's a carb. So when people say they're cutting carbs, they really don't understand. That means you're not eating fruits or vegetables. And if we're looking at a diet that doesn't have fruits or vegetables, we can probably say that that's not the best option. So if we're looking at, protein, carbs, or fats, your fats are going to be, you obviously have fats in animal. So animal fats, then you're looking at your saturated and unsaturated fats. So your plant-based or animal-based fats, saturated being animal-based, unsaturated being plant-based. And when people say like, oh, I got to cut out saturated fats because, I read this thing, it's like, well, no, saturated fats are still good. Your body needs those fats for their cells and everything to function properly. So we don't want to cut them out. And there's a lot of just demonizing these words. And it's like, well, no, it's just, hey, let's have things in moderation, saturated fats and unsaturated fats. And so your fats in moderation. Now, I would say they need to stay away from trans fats because that's just, that's the stuff that is the bad guy. That's what makes fast food so bad, is because it's usually prepared with trans fats. And it just doesn't break down in the body as it should, to not get too technical.
I love that. I love that. No, I love that. Well, not just trans fats. I don't love that, but I do. But I love that you can break it down so simply and just explain to anybody what these things are that your body needs. Because, like we both agree, it just seems so complicated when you're just the individual. When somebody comes to me and says, I don't know how to bake a cake and to ice it. So it's simple. Well, it's not simple to somebody that's never looked at a cake recipe before. And just like with you everything about macros and all this stuff. And it's like, you feel like it's a stupid question. Like, what's a macro? It's a protein, carb, or a fat. Oh, well, okay. I can understand that. Like, great. And then, well, I can never have, alcohol again, if that's your thing, well, yes, you can. Actually, maybe I read a half truth somewhere. I read it the other day, where, if you want to go out, if you do enjoy alcohol, which is just empty calories, basically, they gave a formula. So if you're a math person, you can understand this. They gave a formula of, hey, I'm going to have 2 drinks. Well, 1 drink equals this amount, and you divide that by a certain number, and that can either take out from your carbs or your fats to play into your macros. And I was like, well, that's cool. That's just a mathematical equation. I can understand that. Algebra teacher probably tell you differently from high school, but I can understand math a little bit. So that's cool. I think that those are awesome things, but that's just where a professional like you can come in handy and say, hey, this is what you need, and this is what you don't need. And if you break it down like that, and it still gives me the option to say, I can still have my protein, I can still have my alcohol if I like that, I can still have sugar, I can still have a piece of pie. That's really cool, because it gives me the opportunity to do that instead of taking it away.
Yeah, and because at the end, it's one behavior change in mindset. If my goal is as a professional is to get you to do what you want to do. If you're wanting to lose weight, and my goal is to, hey, I want to help you get there, but it won't happen it won't be a lifestyle, I guess you could say, if I'm forcing you to say, you can't have this, you can't have this, you can't have that. Because what will end up happening is, yeah, you might do that for the short term. The short term can be, 3 months, a year, 2 years, but it might not end up being a lifestyle change. It would be like, that's where you get people like, well, when I was younger, I looked like X, Y, and Z, but when I got older, man, I couldn't keep up with it. It's like, well, if you can't keep up with it, that means it's not a lifestyle. It's not something you live. So that's why it's like, when people say like, oh, I'm on this diet, I was like, ugh, I don't like the diet word. Because all a diet is a fad. You're going to keep up with it for a little bit, and then you're going to go off the rocker. Whereas I want people to have a life change. Like, your eating is your lifestyle. That's how you eat. For me, it's constantly through my head, not only just because of of what I do as a coach, but it's constantly in my head of, okay, well, I just had, this, again, going to pie, I just had this piece of pie. It's kind of high in carbs, okay, because it's sugar. All right, now I'm going to go eat some protein, and I'll balance that out. It's that lifestyle change for me. It's like, if I want to go out and have a drink, I'm going to go out and have a drink. I can't myself, because again, like we mentioned before, if I keep saying I can't, you're going to go off the rocker, and then you're like, well, forget this, and now I'm just going to have whatever I want because I've already messed up. It's like, no, like don't put yourself through that turmoil. Like, don't put yourself through that struggle. Enjoy life, enjoy food, enjoy being around people. Don't be that person that has to go when they go out in a restaurant, like, oh, well, I can't have that. And they pull out their journal and their scale to try and weigh the food. It's like, no one wants to be around that person, because that person's no fun. It's like, hey, you want to go, or come over, bring someone over to your house and like, hey, I made dinner for you. And they're like, I can't have that. I am on this strict diet. And it's like, okay, you're being a jerk. I'll get out.
You're being a jerk.
Okay.
You're just a fat jerk. Get out of here.
So to me, it's about lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle change. So when people don't understand nutrition, it's because they are making it way more complicated than they need to. When people are having problem with getting to their goals, or because of the diet, it's because, again, they're restricting themselves. They're putting themselves in this box, and don't put baby in a box. Like,
that's right.
Let me fly.
Yeah, let them fly. That's it really is it's a journey and not a destination. Fitness is,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
health and wellness is really a journey and not a destination. There is no end game. There is no end mark there, because I can tell you that I've always typically gone, okay, I've been successful. Then now, just like you said, I've limited what I could have done with a fad diet, and now I'm off it. Forget it. And now I'm back down the hill. And then I'm back on the health and wellness train, and this is terrible. And then I'm back down. And then, and it's then once you reach a point where you go, oh, I am extremely overweight, I am not fit, my body's hurting, I've got to make radical changes. So we're going to cut out all sugar, all carbs. I'm only eating meat that was grown on the left side of the field from now on. That's all there is to it. And then you set yourself up, you put these giant expectations out there, and then you set yourself up for failure, as opposed to what you just said. I love what you said. Just make, one change. Here's a change. Hey, the change today, I'm going to get out of bed and go to the gym. Okay, great. I made that change. I'm determined to do that. And then you get that motivation after the determination. And now we say one more change. All right, today I'm going to have more protein than I am, sweets or carbs or whatever. And we make that change again as well. And then we just continue to go on with that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So then now we have what advice, and I think we've kind of covered that now, but best advice you would give to somebody out there listening right now who says, I want to make a change. What's best advice of, I want to make the change right this very second and start living my best life in 22 with health and wellness and eating and everything else? What's the best advice right out of the box?
Know your goal. Know what you're shooting for. Like I mentioned before, there's a saying, you never know your target if you're aiming at the dark.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, kind of actually just came. I thought that was a saying. I actually just made it up right now. Yeah, you never know your target. You never know your target if you are aiming in the dark. And so that darkness being not knowing, if you want to lose weight, okay, well, how much? And then the next thing, your why. So if you want to lose weight, okay, how much? And then why? Why is that number? Why is that number important? Why is the number on the scale important? Because for most people, they don't realize that it's not really about the number on the scale. There's a lot of stuff that's going on up here that that they are wanting to overcome. So it's like, okay, well, if you were more confident in your body, would that number on the scale matter? It's like, okay, well, no. It's like, okay, well, so you want confidence. Okay, well, why confidence then? It's like, okay, like I struggle with getting up in the morning because I look in the mirror and I see this. And it's like, okay, so you want confidence so you can feel better about yourself. And regardless of what that number on the scale looked like. Now, there is an actual health factor. So if someone is really obese or whatever, like, yes, we want to bring that down to have a healthier lifestyle. So it's like, hey, I want to have confidence in my body so I can be here for my kids or whatever it might be. So knowing your why, and from there, it's like, okay, so your why is your confidence to be able to grow old with your kids and have your grandkids, and then knowing your numbers. Okay, now how do we get there? Okay, we need to, lose 30 pounds, lose 50 pounds, whatever it is, but we know that number. So actually having a target and then knowing your why. And from there, then let the journey begin.
I love that, man. That's really good. Great advice, actually. It's like you've said that before of like, what's your goal? Like, it's not just, I've got to lose some weight. It's, my goal, my personal goal, I told you, is to be in the best shape of my life by June and just be phenomenal. Does that mean that I'm going to have the Batman 9-pack? Probably not. I'm 42 years old. Do I care if I have a 9-pack? No, I don't. But I want to be in the best shape of my life. If I set the goal to have that, then, hey, my body fat percentage might get down low enough to where you can actually see maybe a 1-pack, right? I mean, so it all kind of plays in. So I love that. Know your goal, know what you're going for, and, then you can figure out how to get there. So, okay, I have another question here, and this one's kind of off the serious side. What is your funniest gym story? Gym story as in like somebody smacked themselves with a rubber band one day or whatever. What's the funniest thing you remember about your career in fitness?
So I'll say there was one. It's always the ones that are when you're in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, like that was so dangerous. Like, I'm glad no one got hurt. But then you look back on it and you're like, oh, that was hilarious. It was one where we had one of the coaches was lifting something. I think he was doing a snatch. I can't remember exactly. Was doing a snatch, and when he came up, I think he like hit his head. He hit something, or he just crumbled under, and his body just melted. Or like, oh my gosh, is he alive?
Did he die?
And did he? But no, but luckily someone caught it on video. So when he came to, we just I was like, oh, that's just hilarious right there. Another one was
Oh, he passed out though? Like he knocked himself out?
I think he hit himself. Yeah, he hit himself and he kind of passed out. And sometimes I've seen that happen a couple of times where people they hold their breath, which is I always advise against holding your breath. They held the breath and then just no oxygen to the head. It's crazy how that causes someone to pass out when you cut off. But another one was, again, I forgot who it was, but they were doing pull-ups and they were practicing on their pull-ups, and they, so they had the band wrapped around the rig, and then they stepped into the band and practiced some pull-ups. And this is also why I advise against using bands for pull-ups unless we structure them a different way. They're going up, and then I think there were 3 or 4, and the band slipped out from under their foot.
Oh.
And right up the middle.
Right in the crotch, huh? Fantastic. That had to feel phenomenal. Let me just tell you. Oh.
And it's always one of those where you ask oh, are you okay? But you're trying to do it with a straight face. It's hilarious to see what happened, but you're like, man, I'm glad that wasn't me.
And no, they're not okay.
They're not okay.
They're not okay. I just have to do it out of kindness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really good. Well, we've come to the end of the question segments here. We're going to go now into the mystery basket. So typically on Chefin, we do a mystery basket where we give you ingredients and you decide what dishes you're going to make and things like that. Well, we've changed it up a little bit for you, and I'm going to give you just a quick case study. Maybe it's somebody that's out there in the audience that this hits. This is not based on any normal people. Could be lightly based on me, but we'll say nobody. The names and faces have been changed. So the case study is, and once again, I want you to talk us through what thoughts are going through your mind of how you could do this. So case study is, we have a 210-pound man who's 5 foot 10 inches tall. He's in his mid 40s. He is not active at all. He suffers from knee pain in his left knee, and then he had shoulder surgery on his right shoulder 10 years ago. He wants to lose 20 pounds and a few inches off his waist. And so what would you say is the best plan of action for that? And I can go back through these again if you need.
Yeah. So you said 210-pound man, 5'10".
Yep. Mid 40s.
Mid 40s.
Not active at all.
Not active?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at all. Because he has knee pain in his left knee, and he had shoulder surgery on his right shoulder 10 years ago.
Okay. And then how much do they want to lose?
20 pounds and a few inches off the waist, right? So they haven't set their goals very well, obviously.
First, I would ask, first I was like, okay, well, again, what's like, why the 20 pounds? Why the inches? What does that number have? What significance does that number have? Then I would go into the time frame. So, okay, well, you want to lose 20 pounds by when? Because for me, that kind of lets me know, is that a realistic goal or not? Like, are they wanting to lose 20 pounds next week? Well, no, that's not realistic. Are they wanting to lose 20 pounds in 10 months? It's like, okay, well, that's possible. That's 2 pounds a month. Which, when we're looking at the longevity of something, especially when it comes to weight loss, I always say the slower it comes off, the longer it's going to stay off. If it comes off really fast, then it's going to come back on really fast as soon as they stop. So if we're looking at 2 pounds a month, on average, I tell people a good amount is 1 to 5 pounds a month is a good healthy amount. Any more than that, then we're venturing into unhealthy ranges or not longevity. So we're looking at 2 pounds a month, so 10 months. And then the inches on the waist are going to come with that when that weight loss goes down. From there, we're looking at, okay, well, we're not active. We're going to start getting into some activity. I would ask their background, like, hey, did they have any kind of background at all? Like, did they, do sports in high school, or did they do anything in college, or they've never worked out before? Because that kind of lets me know their workout history. Do they know what a push-up is? Because I've had people all over the scale. I've had one person that's never done a push-up in their life. Mm-hmm. I'm like, whoa, like, we're going to ground zero right now. But I've had people, like I said before, that were, college athletes, so they're constantly working out. So knowing what their workout history will kind of let me know that approach when it comes to fitness. And then, so from there, we get their workout history. We obviously, if they had the 2 shoulder injuries, it lets me know, hey, is that something that we're still working through? Like, does it still bother you, even though it was so long ago? That lets me kind of know what kind of movements they're able to do. So then we start, like, okay, then from there, I'll start developing just a workout plan for them. So I know what movements to do, what movements not to do, then switching gears into nutrition. We're saying, okay, 20 pounds. That's when I start breaking down and knowing what are their numbers for their goals. If they have access to a way of getting their body fat percentage, I get that I have them do that, so I know what their body fat percentage is. Because to me, body fat percentage is going to be way more important than a number on a scale. So if they like say, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, going to go from 210 to 190. It's like, well, if you're at 210 and 10% body fat, you're probably not going to go down to 190 unless you're losing muscle mass. But if they're at 210 and 50% body fat, well, if we just drop down a couple percentages in body fat, we're gonna get that number, that 20 pounds. Or for some people, it's okay. Well, hey, really they just need to lose a couple percentage in body fat. That might not be 20 pounds, but if they just lose a couple percentage in body fat, they'll end up getting having that more confidence that they're looking for whatever reason why they're wanting the 20 pounds.
And I think you're right there. I mean, because I know just in my own fitness journey that I might have a weight in my mind of I want to be 190 pounds. Well, I actually feel really good at 200 pounds because now I'm fit. I feel better about myself. I can go out and do whatever I want to do and basically eat a relatively healthy diet that still has all the fun stuff in it. And I'm totally fine with 200 pounds. And so I really like how you can take that and just off the cuff right here without knowing anything about this person can break it down like that. And that's what people would get if they would come to you and you say, hey, I'd really like to know this. And you will just dive into them personally and what their history is. And so the other part about that is a lot of people are intimidated by the gym. They're intimidated by going in anywhere because you may not know how to do a push-up, just like you said. And I mean, you get down, you say, I saw this on Instagram one time, so I'm going to try this out. And then people are going to be looking at you funny because you're doing a push-up with your toes and one finger or whatever it is. And so I love that you're out there where people can just come to you and you can develop a program specifically for them. Because honestly, I feel like a lot of people want that, but they don't know how to go out and get that without going, I'm going to go to the gym and get a personal trainer. Well, great. But how much are they going to dive into you and your goals and how you can achieve those goals? So I think that's really cool that you can dive in and see that within somebody because you can make drastic changes in people's lives and add years to their lives. So you have a very important job, a very important role. And I appreciate what you've done for me and my fitness and mobility goals. And I know you can do the same for other people out there. So if people want to find you, they can find you on Instagram and it's at Coach_R Woods. And then on Facebook, Randall Woods, correct?
Correct.
Fantastic. So Pinnacle Performance is your company. They can come seek you out and find their goals and figure out how to achieve those goals.
Yep.
All right. Can they get the Wolverine healing factor? Is that something you sell on the side or?
Well, I mean, the crazy thing is if you fuel your body right and you take care of your body can heal itself.
Oh, I love it, man. Hey, Randall, I appreciate you coming on the show today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, you have a happy 22 beginning, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All right.